Today I want to talk about African something something. African something something. You know, sometimes we have to dissect this pity and try to understand the anatomy and physiology of something that happens only in Africa, only in an African way. An African something something, man. So what's the first African something something I want to talk about today? Right. So the first one is the ANC marched in Tshwane. The ANC marched in Tshwane to tell the ANC representatives in the government of provincial unity in Tshwane to serve the people. And this march was led by Fikile Mbalula. Let's watch. Let's see how it went and hear what he had to say was the reason.
Tomorrow, the 8th of November, the ANC will host the Walking with the People's Walk in Tshwane, uniting and mobilizing citizens around a people-centered agenda. With an expected participation.
The people are already united with the people's agenda. They are already united about that. People want a people-centered agenda. That's already something that they want. But go on, sir.
Of many people, individuals from diverse communities. The walk aims to reinforce the people's mandate for transformative policies that prioritize service delivery, economic transformation, and tangible benefits for the people. The walk reflects our commitment to engaging with communities directly, ensuring their voices continue to guide our efforts. The ANC recognizes that our legitimacy is grounded in the trust and confidence of the people. This walk is a demonstration of our solidarity and resolve to address community concerns with accountability and dedication. Together, we advance our shared vision for inclusive, prosperous South Africa. This will take place in Tshwane tomorrow. As you know, that ANC have formed part of a government coalition in Tshwane, and we want to say to our representatives, serve our people with dedication and ensure that we deliver for our people in Tshwane as one of the reasons that have led, in particular, to the collapse of government and government services, particularly in the constituencies that we serve.
It's well attended. It's a thousands of ANC members marching. Some of them are in office. Some of them are senior people. Oh, no. Oh, no. This is African something something. You want to tell the ANC representatives to serve the people. You want to demonstrate a commitment to the people, to serve them. The best way to do that would be to serve them. Because if you're walking instead of serving them. So for instance, there are water issues in Hammanskraal, water issues all over Gauteng. Wouldn't it be like better to solve the water issue? Spend a weekend dealing with something to do with the water issue rather than... You see why I'm calling it an African something something, right? This is the second ANC march. Last month, the ANC Youth League marched to Sandton for jobs, to deal with unemployment. It's bewildering because if you look at it logically, and there's another way to look at it which makes more sense, but we'll look at it logically first. The Premier of Gauteng joined the ANC Youth League to march for jobs. Right? He is in charge of the province, which employs the most people in the country. Now you've got the Secretary General of the ANC marching to tell ANC representatives that they must be committed to serving the people and to show the people that they're committed to serving the people. Logically, this doesn't make any sense. So, did Fikile Mbalula, for instance, lose the numbers of the ANC leaders in Tshwane? Like, he doesn't have their numbers anymore to call them and say, listen, you have to serve the people. You know, does he not have Panyaza Lesufi's number? Or are they fighting too much to talk to each other? I mean, did he forget that he's the Secretary General of the ANC? Only in Africa do you get the ruling party marching to get the ruling party to work on issues that the ruling party campaigned to fix. Only in Africa can you get the ruling party marching to get the ruling party to work on the issues that the ruling party complained and campaigned to fix. Only in Africa. It's an African something. You know what's even funnier about this? Fikile Mbalula used to call himself Mr. Fix. Mr. Fix. Now he's Mr. Walk. This is like me sending an email to the gym to complain about my missing six-pack and to tell them how committed I am to fitness instead of going to the gym. This is African something level 7. It's a level 7 African something. I don't know what to tell you. Only in Africa. You know, these things are serious. I'm laughing because they're hilarious as well, but they're serious. So, why is this actually happening? This is my theory. I think that this is happening because Fikile Mbalula wants to demonstrate that he also has mass appeal. He also has popularity. If you recall, Panyaza Lesufi marched with the ANC Youth League at a time when there were still some disputes between him and Fikile Mbalula, and where Fikile Mbalula was trying to implement disciplinary charges against him, which he failed to do. And now we are seeing not only Fikile Mbalula marching, but marching in Tshwane. Remember what happened in Tshwane is that the DA mayor was removed. And that was the site of contestation because the ANC made a deal with Action SA to remove the DA mayor, Silius Brink. And that's what brought Panyaza back to the forefront. AfriForum got angry, DA got angry. He did a march just the next week. Now Fikile Mbalula is doing a march, not with the Youth League, with the ANC, to try to say, I also have numbers. Because 2027 is coming up, there's going to be a leadership contest within the ANC. And this seems to be part of that leadership contestation, that leadership dispute. It's African something. You can't look at it one way. Otherwise, you won't get it because it's African something. Right, let's talk about the second African something. We're going out of South Africa now. We're going somewhere else. The Minister of Information Communication Technology in Zimbabwe has announced that those who are using WhatsApp for business purposes will have to pay a license fee of between 950 rands converted and 46,000 rands. So if you're using WhatsApp for business in Zimbabwe, you may have to, as the WhatsApp admin of a group, you may have to pay some money to do that. She made this announcement on LinkedIn. So there was a breakfast meeting of the Postal Telecommunications Regulatory Authority of Zimbabwe. And at the breakfast meeting, after the meeting, the minister went on to LinkedIn, the most professional of the social media platforms, to say the following. I would like to thank all those who attended the crucial breakfast meeting organized by the Postal Telecommunications Regulatory Authority of Zimbabwe yesterday. The time is ticking for organizations that collect first-party data, as you are required by law to have a data protection license, and the license fees range from $50 to $2,500. Furthermore, a data protection officer, DPO, who is trained and certified by the Department of Postal Telecommunications Regulatory Authority should be appointed by such a licensee, and the appointment should be communicated to the government. Even churches who collect personal data ought to have such a license and appoint a DPO. WhatsApp group admins are not spared too. If your groups are meant for business, you should as well obtain a license. Failure to comply attracts penalties. For further inquiries, get in touch with the Postal and Telecommunications team. Special mention to our PS Dr. B. Chirume and the Postal Telecommunications team. Hey! African something something. This is African something something. In fact, it's a gold medal. African something something. What message does it send to investors when you tell people you will charge people for using WhatsApp groups? What message does it send to the world when you are saying you're going to charge people for using WhatsApp groups? Between 950 rands and 46,000 rands. 2,500 US dollars, Trump dollars. The dollars just went up. The dollars of Trump, 2,500 of them. African something, something indeed. I'm telling you. I can't believe it. In fact, I can believe it because it's happening in Africa. Only in Africa do these kind of things happen. You're going to charge churches. Okay, let me move on to the third African something something. Right, this one was actually maniacally bewildering. Hey, if you remember that clip. Prince William was being smooshed and hugged by African leaders this week. Hey. We are seeing a lot in Africa. Huh? We're seeing a lot. Here it is.
Royal Highness.
Nice to see you again.
Good to see you again indeed. Are you well?
I'm very well, thank you.
Such a joy and a pleasure to have you here.
Well, thank you for having me.
Really good. These poor people,
He said these poor
people with cameras, they want to shoot you and I.
These poor people with cameras are still there.
Did you spend most of your time here?
Not so much, no, not so much. I spend most of my time in Victoria. Hi guys. Siyaphila njani? Ewe. Now laugh at Cape Town.
Handshake, please, Mr. President.
Another handshake. Another handshake. And you did say that you would be coming.
I did. I said I would be here. And here I am, 2 years later.
2 years later.
That's good.
He promised to come 2 years ago, only coming 2 years later. Hey, wait now, William.
Heading out? Relations.
Thank you.
Lamola, and this was one of our key officials, and Chief of Staff.
Good. The Foreign Secretary here.
Of course, we are.
You know very well.
Yes, yeah.
Eddie and Patrick is with me.
Hello,
Nice to meet you.
pleased to meet you, sir. Pleased to meet you. So these fellows will want us to stand again. They never get enough of us. Yes. Should we sit down now?
Last handshake, please, Your Excellencies.
Last handshake, another one.
Thank you.
Take from the continent, you just come and people are shaking your hand. Yeah. Hey. So there it is. There it is.
Wonderful.
That's another African something something, and I will tell you why it's an African something something. Firstly, Prince William is not. Firstly, I think that it's justice that the hair is gone, because when you represent such an institution, you can't be looking good till the end. Something must happen. The hair must fall. So, anyway, let's have a little bit of a serious conversation about this chap. Prince William represents the British monarchy. The British monarchy did not even respect African leaders when Queen Elizabeth died. Do you remember? They put the heads of state representing 1.4 billion people in a bus. But other European leaders were put in limousines, and the African leaders were smiling at the disrespect. One or two of them realized later, like the president of Kenya, he was like, wait a minute. That was some disrespect. So we extend all this courtesy to the future king, the prince, the British royal family, and they extend none in return. That is African something. That's really right. And let's go further. The British monarchy, when the coronation happened, did not use a diamond which was taken from India, known as the Koh-i-Noor diamond, during the coronation. Ownership of the Koh-i-Noor, one of the largest cut diamonds in the world, has been disputed. And there were concerns about a diplomatic role with India if it was used. So out of respect for India, during the coronation of King Charles, they did not use the diamond, right? And prior, when Queen Elizabeth was coronated, that diamond was used. But India has been fighting for that diamond. So they said, for respect to the people of India, out of respect to them, we're not going to use their diamond. However, during that coronation, they made use of the Cullinan diamond, which was taken from South Africa during the colonial period. And I would submit to you that it was illegitimately taken, because those mines were illegitimately taken ownership of by the British. Cecil John Rhodes, right? These companies that exist now, Oppenheimers, De Beers, all of these things, these are the companies that are the proceeds of colonialism. And I want you to take time, if you haven't yet, read this book by Dr. Walter Rodney, one of the most sophisticated scholars on African history, right? He lived by his principles, and he did a lot of work to teach us what the impact was. The book is called How Europe Underdeveloped Africa. Of course, Africa has also been underdeveloped by African leaders post-colonialism, but the family that is most responsible for the underdevelopment of Africa is the British royal family, that family of William. How are we smiling and kikiing with this guy? How are we allowing him to rebrand or to get credibility for the monarchy to extend this institution on African soil? How does that make any sense? They didn't even respect South Africa enough to not use the stolen diamonds from South Africa. Right now, African gold, African diamonds, African art is in possession of the British family, the royal family, and the United Kingdom. In Africa, there's nothing royal about that family. Do you know there are no artworks that commemorate the lion in the house of the gazelle? Because to the gazelle, to the deer, the lion is the enemy. You can never find in the house of the frog the celebration of the snake, because the snake is the predator to the frog. And of course, I'm using metaphors here. But you will never find in the midst of the Chinese empire celebrations of the UK. You won't find that, because there's an appreciation in China about what the British did to them. So why is it in Africa we are still clapping hands for the family that decimated our ancestors, hung them from trees? We clap. Hello, we're not king, what, prince, what. Even if we say that time has passed, has this family accounted? Has this family atoned? Other nations in the Commonwealth are asking for reparations for colonialism. Other people are asking for the return of African art, like the Benin bronzes, which you've even seen in that movie, Black Panther. Killmonger takes one of those things because he says, this belongs to my ancestors, not to you guys, not to your museum. So do you know, every weekend, almost every day, people go to this museum in London and they look at African art. And then they go eat cheese and drink wine. You don't get that money. Those artworks were made by Africans. They, up to this point, still benefit. Can you not see the African something that we're doing here? We are accepting scraps. We are clapping for charity instead of demanding accountability for the harms caused by Queen Victoria, King Edward, Queen Elizabeth, on this African continent. You need to read this book as well. It's called Dead Aid by Dambisa Moyo. This book, and there's another one called Expensive Poverty by Greg Mills, shows how after colonialism, we were given dead aid as a form of reparations. Aid that did nothing to assist the everyday African. And these families influenced the politics that played out post-colonially in Africa. They reneged on deals. One of the deals that was reneged upon was the Lancaster House Agreement. When Zimbabwe became independent, prior to that, when it was Rhodesia, a deal was signed between the British and the future Zimbabwean government that the British would compensate Zimbabwe for the land that was taken. Guess what happened? They reneged on that deal. And how are we clapping for the man who is going to inherit that institution, all of the wealth, all of the proceeds, with no accountability? Just because he came and did a climate award, just because now he's saying he's an environmental activist, that is climate washing. It's activism washing. We shouldn't be asking for scraps from our own table. We shouldn't be accepting disrespect in our own land, Africa. How? These people put you in a bus when their queen died. They couldn't even recognize your royalty. Why nigga in a bus this guy? You see, you don't respect yourself. Africans, it's African something something. And until we begin to put dignity on ourselves and have that self-consciousness that Steve Biko was speaking about, have that understanding of our own pride, we will never make Africa great. We won't. We won't. Others, they're saying America first, make America great again. When are you going to make Africa great for you? We need to make Africa great for Africans. Right now, Africa is not great for Africans. It's great for Europeans. You know, Europeans can just come here and every African state will give them a visa. You try go to UK, try go to Germany. They will show you with your mother's mother. They will show you that you can't just come around here. You have to be the best black. You have to have the best bank account. You have to have the best qualifications to get a Schengen visa. You have to have a certain etiquette, a certain je ne sais quoi to be able to go to France. Otherwise, and even if you are there, they'll still tell you, go back to Africa. But when they come here, hello, investor, tourist, what? African something something. Till the next one, guys. If you enjoyed the African something something episode, tell me. I'm going to do more of these because, yeah, we have a lot to evaluate spitically here in Africa. Next time.